When I say 7, y'all say days. Hunting for the cheese like a mouse in a maze. Been down all my life, mama thought it was a phase. Same OG, guess I'm stuck in my ways. Last night I had a dream.
Welcome to Neutral Voices. This is the place where your voice matters. This is the voice of the people segment where you leave a comment or call our magic phone and engage with us. So, and don't forget to click like and share and subscribe to our YouTube page.
Yes.
We have tons of comments. Last night we had a good conversation
Yes, we
about parenting. And as I said last night, we are not experts. I know I am not, but we do have.
Did you discredit me being the world's greatest parent?
We do have experienced people with us here tonight. So, listen, we're going to get right into these comments. I'm looking at this and I wanted to say podcast. So we can get right into our comments. Let's start with the first one. Jill, you ready?
Yep. So we posed a question out to our viewers. If you could give one piece of parenting advice to someone starting out, what would it be? So we're going to read some of the responses and we're going to talk about them.
What would you give? Why do you put it up? What advice would you give, Jill?
Okay, there we go. I was going to say,
one piece, real quick.
One piece of advice I would give is whatever you do, however you decide to parent, to make sure that your child knows at the end of the day that they are loved.
Yes.
Great advice.
Love it.
Was that a compliment?
Okay.
No.
Say it again.
No.
Okay, anyways. So Mark Fennell says, you need to teach them to respect you and your rules. So many parents say, oh, they are just kids, and let go with the discipline. No discipline. All children need discipline, not necessarily spanking, but sometimes needed. A firm grip and a stern no works well. Every child is different and needs lots of attention. Lots of patience is needed also. Definitely a lean as you go, or learn as you go, progress.
That's right.
Yes. I agree with Mark. A lot of that is, but and not to change his words because he meant what he said, and I respect what he said, but I'm going to say it in a different point of view. It's teaching respect to some people is that hard discipline. I'm going to make you respect me, and that's not always the way where he said that shorter in his comment. I think teaching is an illustration where we have to put forth the effort to show respect, to show how to be respected. And people will follow. I mean, that's in general.
But you know what? I like when he was speaking of disciplining children in different ways,
right,
depending on that child, because every child has to be disciplined, to me, in a different way, according
Absolutely.
to well, first of all, according to their personality and who they are as an individual, and then according to what actually happened, because just from standing on the outside of watching parents, I've seen parents go way overboard for things that seem simple. Like they just go hysterical.
Right.
And, to me, there needs to be a balance. So sometimes you need to take a step back and think, is it really that deep for me to just lose myself? So
something that stuck out to me that Mark said is that kids need a lot of attention, which I absolutely agree with that. The right kind of attention, because if you're not giving that to your child, they're going to go get it somewhere else. And, that's when you get kids that are acting out for, behavior. I've been around in the business that I'm in, some of the greatest kids that are great around me because I show them attention, but they act out in other ways because that's the only way their parent will notice them.
Right.
So, everything is everything. If you don't give it, they're going to try to get it in other ways. So that was a really good comment.
Right.
Yes. Okay, more comments. This is Neutral Voices, voice of the people, and we're reading comments from our viewers.
So Katie says, open communication, that they can come to you with anything, and you breathe first before reacting. The little things truly are not something to overreact about. If it affects their safety, then freak out. If not, then learn to let it go.
Right.
So pick your battles, basically.
Absolutely.
I think she's
and
saying.
That's what I'm saying. So, I like how she said if it concerns their safety.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
there's a line
But
to draw.
I do disagree with the let it go.
Mhm.
And I only say this because in every instance, there's a lesson to be taught. If you let it go, that's a lesson missed. You
Right.
know? And they're not gonna they're
And so
gonna
you just saying use it as a
yes,
teachable
because
moment.
if you let it go, it's gonna become an excused behavior. And if I keep getting excused for that behavior, even if it's minor, it's gonna grow, and it becomes a problem. So don't let it go. Address it, but don't make a mountain out of a molehill.
Exactly.
Right.
Use it as a teaching and a learning experience.
Right, because
Yes.
that kind of behavior, instead of becoming a change behavior, is going to be a repeated
Yeah,
behavior.
it's gonna be a learned behavior.
Right, and she
Yes.
mentioned
Awesome.
open communication, and I think that's everything. You know,
Yes.
throughout the whole adolescence age, but especially when they get to be teenagers. Because, like we said last night, if they're not talking to you, they're talking to someone. And there are some things we never want our kids to come to us about, but we hope that they do if it comes down to it.
Absolutely.
So Dee Dee says, remember that they have feelings and emotions, the same as you. Listen to them.
That's true.
Do you know how many parents just cut kids off and just don't talk to me?
Right.
Or they just, wait, this is the one. Shut up. All the time, right?
I
Yeah.
hate that when people
I
say
know
shut
it, but
up.
you know, sometimes the kid actually has a valid point. There's something that they need to say that would help you judge them, so to speak, and discipline them.
Right.
But you won't allow the kid to speak.
I agree with that. But a child needs to, first of all, I'm gonna say reverence the parent to understand who has the control and who does. Now I'm not saying don't listen to them, but you know when to speak. You should know how to speak as well. And I know it's back
See,
and forth where when you give it, you're gonna get it. But I don't think a child should ever argue or raise their voice at their
No.
parent. But they do. As you give it to me, I think I have the right to give it back to you. And that's not right. That is
Right.
not right.
Well,
I'm
no.
not saying the absolute yelling at your child is the correct thing, but also the child, there's not a reverence anymore where the child can sit and listen. They expect you to hear them and not listen to them. So they get all bolstery and they get, big in
Right.
the chest and everything. So
Well, and you bring up a good point too, Clarence, because a lot of how children act has to do with how we act. So if I'm making everything a big deal, if I'm screaming, if I'm throwing things, I'm teaching my child that this is how you deal with conflict. So, a lot of people, not just men, but women too, mothers want to try to be big and bad and stern, and I'm going to talk like this and do that. But
Mhm.
to me, there's a time and a place.
That's right. That's why I say there's a time to take off the super cape. It's okay to be normal. It's okay to say to your kid, you know what? I made a mistake. Mommy made a mistake.
yeah,
It's
parent, we don't do
okay.
that. We
And
don't do
then
that.
use it as a teachable moment.
Yeah.
Because then it'll be okay for them to say, I made a mistake.
Yeah. No, we
Because
don't
you
do
got to think about these same children that you're raising will eventually grow up to raise a different generation.
What do you
of
mean
kids.
we don't
So-
do that? Elaborate. You can't just say we don't do that.
We don't
and-
do that. We don't apologize to children. My mother never said I'm sorry.
See?
We
She said,
don't
"You didn't die,
apologize."
did you?"
Okay. You ain't
Oh, my
crying blood.
Goodness.
Right.
Okay.
We had quite a few people actually that said, listen to them, even as toddlers. So I think that is a very, important point. A lot of people have said that, to listen. Heather says you are not their best friend and they are not yours.
Talk about that. So, Jill, how do you feel in the relationship with your daughter? Would you say she's my friend, or do you think she calls you her friend? Talk about that.
I don't think
As a
she
mom and
calls me
daughter.
her friend. And I don't really call her my friend either. But she's on the verge of being a teenager. So there are some times when I try to get in there and I want her to look at me as a friend because I feel like she'll be more open if she can view me in times of crisis or when she's upset as a friend. But also understand that at the end of the day, my job is to be a parent.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to say this and the nature does sound a bit graphic, but this is a true experience that I had. It's not vulgar. It's just how I'm going to say this, okay? I dealt with a young lady, and her mother was her friend. Her mother was so bold enough to experience her or share her adult expletives with her child
Okay.
and talk to her child about her adult nature.
Okay.
And I'm trying to
You're
keep
being
it
very, very careful.
I'm trying to
here.
be, But the
I
mother,
like the way you're putting that.
yeah, the mother shared her adult nature experiences with her 13, 14,
Right.
15. I don't remember how old the child was at the time.
Wow.
But her mother was sharing these experiences with
Mhm.
this child.
I think that's more common than we would
But
like
you know
to
what?
think.
Ooh, but you just make me think about the parents that sit down and watch certain movies. I mean, we talked about this with their children, boy or girl, it doesn't matter. But and they sit there and they watch this with the sex scenes and everything.
Has to be
and it's like-
awkward. I mean,
it has to be.
Yeah, it should
me.
be. It should be. You know, and I worked with some children before. And I was surprised that some of the children would say how their parents would drink with them, smoke with
Mhm.
them, and they would have this. Now, that should never be. That should never be. You know,
You
but
wonder what leads to that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just and I can say it, it's bad parenting. I don't care. I don't care who is gonna give us a comment, but that's just simply bad parenting. Period.
Yeah.
Across the board.
it's not
You can't
parenting
change
at all.
that.
You know, it's not parenting.
Yes. Okay, we have more comments.
How does poverty affect raising a kid? Good question.
That's a good
That is
question.
a
Great
broad and a
question so
bold
far.
question. I mean, broad question. Because one is, I've seen parents who have nothing raise great kids.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
But I do understand sometimes parents get overwhelmed and
Mhm.
frustrated and they don't know how to channel those things. Like Penny from Good Times. Do you know who Penny from Good Times is? But you remember Penny, mom from Good Times.
Yes.
Yeah, she was having so much trouble
Mhm.
and it was the poverty, it was her problems. It just escalated her problems, and she took out her problems on her child
Right.
because she couldn't get over. You got to go watch Good Times, though. She couldn't get over her own problems.
Right. But I was going to say, just to be a little bit more specific, even to the poverty, again, from my perspective, a lot of times parents are, to me, they're upset, they're stressed out because they can't, buy the groceries and feed the children like they want to, or prepare that meal that they would like to prepare. So they're already stressed out. And then the kid may even ask for more or seconds, and then you're yelling at the kid. And so you make the kid feel a certain way just for asking for another piece of chicken.
Yeah, right.
And so I'm saying, I believe, then look, what's those ramen noodles?
Ramen noodles.
Ramen
Yeah.
noodles or something. I hear parents just go fix a pack of ramen noodles and that's it, and that's all you get. I'm saying I do believe that there's more to the poverty
Yes.
aside of things when it comes to parenting.
But I got another aspect on the ramen noodles because a lot of these young parents can't cook, first and foremost. They really can't. They're not. But
So it's a
also,
safe-
how
yeah.
poverty does it. We see poverty different now. As you were saying with the food. Now, if I can't buy my kid the new Jordans, the latest style of
Yeah.
clothes, the
Yes.
new iPhone, I think I'm
All of
feeling
those
as a parent,
things.
which
Yes.
is not a thing that we should feel. But
Right.
that makes me feel that I'm poor and I'm a poor parent
Right.
because my kid don't have the new iPhone.
Yeah,
Right.
and you're comparing
This
yourself to
is
other
a very,
people, so-
yeah, I just want to bring up something too about, COVID right now, because COVID and poverty is huge. So
Mhm.
you as a person, as an adult, without any children, you're losing your job, you're losing your home, but all you're responsible for is you. You
Right.
add a child to that mix. I mean,
Yes.
it's a very dangerous situation right now.
Yes. And we have more comments. This is Neutral Voices, and this is the voice of the people.
Darlene says, let them know that it's important to leave each person and place better than they found it. Contribute to making the world a better place. It starts with you.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
agree. I absolutely agree, because I think also it's not only important how you treat your child, it is everything how your child sees you treat other people, how they see you look at other races, how they see you look at the janitor, because they are going to see that through their eyes, what you see through theirs, what you're showing them.
And you know what? That's why I talked about faith last night. And a lot of times, we're not leaving God out of this, because to me, that's the foundation.
Yes.
That's where it should begin. And I'm talking about from a baby.
Right.
What you're speaking. Matter of fact, before you even birth your child, you're speaking certain things, you're praying, and you should continue that. And then when that child is old enough, you should begin to teach them at a young age to pray. And you're teaching about scriptures and reading affirmations and
Mhm.
different things,
Right.
devotions. You should be instilling in that child from the beginning how to treat people, how to
Right,
respect
Absolutely.
people,
right.
And how
and
you react
how
to
to
things.
love.
The minute I come home, my presence is felt. So if I'm
Yes.
feeling stressed, if I feel like I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that, you have to sometimes, because we all have bad days, you have to put on that parent face because I
Right.
know who's greeting me when I get home.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
You have another comment?
Stacy says, always keep your word so that they learn to trust you. Don't flip
Yes.
out when they tell you something serious, or they might not come to you with their problems again. Listen to them. They learn by watching what you do. You can never spend too much time with your children.
I love that because I like just the whole keeping your promise because it's so easy to tell people what you're going to do and then you don't do it.
Right.
Even in disciplining,
Right.
if you tell them if you do XYZ, you're going to be on punishment. I'm
Right.
taking your phone for 2 weeks,
Right.
and then you don't do
You don't do
anything.
it.
Because and we ask them to do the same thing. We ask them to
Yes.
keep their word.
right.
So we need to do the
Yeah.
absolute same.
lead by example.
You know,
Right. Lead by example.
I have to say that that was an example. I had my youngest daughter when she was younger. If you told her you were gonna do something on Friday, she wouldn't bother you, but she'd keep asking you what day it
Which-
is, what
Oh,
day it is,
for real,
what
of
day
course.
it is. And when it got to Friday, she reminded you what you said on Sunday that you were gonna do on Friday.
It's
It's true.
And if you didn't do it, she would, be disappointed. So I do agree with keeping your word in as much as you say with discipline. My mother said, if you're going to get a whooping, you're going to get a whooping. You knew you was going to get a whooping.
She's gonna keep her word.
Yeah, she's going to keep her
And
word.
guess who we want to keep their word and we hold accountable? God.
God,
That's what we do
Yeah.
on a regular basis. So why not?
right.
You're supposed to keep your word. We have more comments. This is Neutral Voices.
If a parent is in survival mode, trying to pay bills, keep food in the house, working 2 to 3 jobs, is there any room for normal parenting? This is where the village could really be effective. Help. And this is kind of where I
Definitely.
was trying to go with the COVID. I mean, all of that. Tell me how you can go through all that and your child not feel the burden.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there is no worse feeling than thinking that you cannot feed your child, that you cannot have the internet on for
And
school,
School,
that you
yeah.
cannot support.
And there's the village.
Right.
How
there's the
can the village step
Yeah,
up and
it
help?
would need that. But
Yes.
I just in not questioning this person's wording, but is there a thing for normal parenting other than the food, shelter, and clothing?
Love and affection
Love, yeah.
and
Well,
reading
love covers
stories.
all of that.
and-
But what I'm saying is, how you parent your children is one. First of all, it's gender based, and it's also culturally based, and it's also age based.
Yep.
So, what I think is normal, you may think it's totally absurd.
Well,
know-
I mean, yeah, so there's different types of parenting, and I do agree with that and definitely related to culture. But I think at the end of the day, the whole love and the nurturing and the comforting and the protecting, I think that's across the board.
I
Don't
think
you
that's
think?
across the board too. But for it to just say normal, I mean, to put that label on it, and I'm
Yeah,
not,
but I'm just saying that I'm thinking that's what they mean when they say normal parenting, where you are so concerned about that child's welfare and you're going to the games or you're going to the school
Right,
for show
right.
and tell.
Right.
To me,
Ideal
that's normal.
parenting would be
Yes.
a better
ideal. I
word.
like that in a better, and not
Yes.
not discounting what they're
Yes.
saying,
Mhm.
but just wording is a very crucial to understanding sometimes.
And
So,
you know what's crazy with parenting, and we're going to get back to some comments here pretty soon. But from my perspective, I once was a step parent.
uh-huh.
And a lot of times, you feel like the stepchild, how people make fun of
Mhm.
that. But, it's terrible when you're not respected as a step parent. And
Right.
people say, you don't know, you never had kids. But a lot of times I could know just based off of all of the people that I've had to watch and
Right.
encounter.
Right.
So you can't say you can't learn things by watching and observing because a lot of people learn by
Right.
visual and watching and
But
and
as you stated,
demonstration.
and we're gonna
So-
get to a comment, but I want to say, step parents, you gotta the last comment about the village. That's part of your village. If you're no longer there present at the whole time,
Mhm.
that step parent should be an extension of your village. Now,
It
I'm
should
not
be.
saying all going to get along because not everybody's going to treat your child like you treat them.
Right.
But I think that we need to stop vilifying step
Right.
parents. I mean,
Yes.
men, you know what? This man can't say nothing to my child, and women.
That's
She
right.
better not, you know.
Yes.
A lot of it too, just to end quickly on this, a lot of it too has to do with, for instance, my daughter's father got remarried. She now has a stepmom. I went to my daughter and I said, you will treat her with respect. You will
Yes.
listen to her. This is what you're going to do. So a lot of it has to do with how
Yes.
the other parent
Absolutely.
views that
Right.
step parent. If I would have said, oh, your dad got, she's going to flow with that.
Right.
So a lot of that is solely, it
That
lies.
is so good.
Yeah,
That is so
absolutely.
true. And then look what you're showing your child.
Right,
In
right.
as far as an example.
So, Digital Mind Studios says, is spanking my biological child with my hand no bruising against the law? Because the Bible says, spare the rod, spoil the child. My dad beat the brakes off of me.
Well,
Off of me. Yeah,
So-
that's
my mom and dad beat the brakes off me too.
same.
That, but here's the thing. By law, disciplining your children physically is not against the law. It's if you're leaving bruises, if you're leaving marks.
So you just have to
That-
be
Yeah,
strategic and smart.
Right,
So
strategic
tell
and
us,
smart.
Clarence, since you worked there, what can we beat the child with? No, just
Yeah, what are the
Well, here's the thing.
Do not
Legitimately.
answer that question.
No, I'm gonna tell you by law. I'm not telling you how to beat your children, but I'm telling you by law.
Okay.
You're not to use anything as a weapon. So actually, technically, they say a belt. And anything above five swats is considered abusive. Legitimately.
Oh,
They got
have
it
a
down to the
number?
SWAT?
Yes.
Five?
Legitimately, yes.
Isn't that amazing? And 5 is a number of grace.
So that's why they're telling you to stop. You,
Okay.
didn't have to, you got to give them grace after that.
Wow. I never knew that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you just educated somebody out there.
Yeah.
5.
five
Five.
swats? Make them
Okay.
5 good ones.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, my
So
mama
you
just,
believe in,
Yeah.
because they use scripture.
Yeah. I believe
And
it's for the,
We are Bible based
Yeah.
here. We believe the word. We stand on the word.
yeah. And that's
So
why I say
spare
if
the
you,
rod.
when a person said let it go, that's why I say don't let it go, because you got to,
But I get it. I know what they mean.
Right,
Doc,
right.
before we go,
Just don't
it
lose.
is talking about beating. If your mama has never hit you to a pause, you have not been
To a
abused.
ball.
Goodness.
You
Moving
don't know
on.
about-
Niggas just hit you, and then you just
You're talking and they hit you in your chest and you're like, you never been hit to the pause.
no,
Oh,
not to
man.
a pause. We have more comments. This is Neutral Voices, the voice of the people.
So Laura, hi
your
Laura.
voice.
Laura says, my mom became my best friend after I became an adult. I became my son's best friend when he grew up. But growing up, she was my mother, teacher, as I was with my son.
That's how it should be.
It should
think
be.
that's
My
beautiful.
That's how it
mother
should
is
be.
my best friend today.
That's how.
Right.
that's
There is
how-
because-
nobody like her. Absolutely.
Because you're
I
at
love
an
that.
age. You're at an age where you experience parenthood and things like that. Now she can talk to you to give you advice as a friend. But your daughter's 16.
But-
You shouldn't be.
Okay, wait, Laura, and I know you will chime in. Okay, so but there still has to be a line that's drawn.
Oh yeah.
So BFF, I get to share all my dirt.
No,
Right?
no,
I'm just saying
no,
that's
no.
what I can do with my
No.
BFF. But with my mom, I would have to be a certain way. So I know when Laura's saying that she's saying that with boundaries still
Can-
in place.
Absolutely.
Can I tell a story real quick before we leave?
You can, but I just wanted to say because
Okay.
I know people that really will go detail by detail
Yeah.
with their
No,
children.
but our cameraman gonna laugh because he told me the other day my life is crazy. I think he think I make up half these stories, but these things happen. My father, I used to drive into a foot wash every year, and if you don't know what foot wash is, it's this festival and it's in Uniontown, Alabama. That's what's his hometown. But one year we drove, and on one side of the festival, it's family friendly. But if you turn this corner, it becomes a little bit more racy. So I was all of maybe 30, and we turned that corner, and there was videos playing on the screen. My dad, for about 50 feet, walked and said, boy, don't look at that. Don't look at that. I'm like, man, I'm grown. I got kids. But for about,
It's just something that happens.
it's just
I'm sure.
something, and he kept saying, boy, don't look. I'm like,
And that's kind of what I'm talking about because either way, friends or whatever, you're not going to sit there and watch certain things together.
Right.
It just won't
Or
feel,
tell them certain parts of
or
your
so-
lives.
Yes,
Yep, yep.
absolutely. No. So, Jill, more comments up there, more comments.
We got more comments.
We do. We have.
Well, as they're coming, you know, a lot
There
of
it
people
is.
were talking earlier about listening to children,
Mm-hmm.
but we have a problem that we don't listen to our children, or we alienate ourselves from our children.
Okay.
We have a problem where we don't think that children have opinions or they have rational thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also how we're, like you say, when you walk in the house, your presence is felt. So your child knows how you feel. So, you know, if you walk in there with aggression and anger, that might push your child
Right.
away, you know, that they don't
Right.
want to bother you. They could have just wanted a spelling bee, but you coming in with
Exactly.
aggression and anger, you're not going to do that. So we got to stop turning our children out.
Yep.
Or tuning them out because we're not paying attention
I'm
to
glad
it.
you straightened
Yeah, I
that
said
out.
the wrong thing, but tuning them out because, yeah,
Maybe- wait,
I'm a little slow
But I
tonight.
just want
to
to say, some people may be turning their
that was a
children out.
Freudian slip. I was going to
Okay.
say turn it off, but but that's
Clarence,
neither here nor there.
Just be done.
But, and here's what I'm saying though, we'll listen to our BFF for hours,
Right. Right.
and our kid come up, mommy, go on, boy,
Right.
go on,
Well,
child.
I was just getting ready to say. Now, although this may not be a cell phone, but most of the time the parent could be like
Right.
this, and the kid is talking.
Yeah.
Right. And
Right.
I'm just saying that's one of the issues when you start talking about parenting. You have to give them your undivided attention.
And you have to be an engaging parent. You can't be a
That's
passive
what I
parent.
mean.
You have to be an
Engage.
engaging parent. I mean, even if you're not with the other parent,
Yes.
you have to be an engaging parent in that child's life. You can't just coast by and think that child is going to be all right. You have to be there in that child's life. There's no ifs, there's no ands, there's no buts. That child needs you in their life. The mother or the father, whoever who has a child, may not need you, but that child needs you.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yes. And more comments.
So we have another comment. Factors of an unfit parent. Number 1, setting age appropriate limits. Is a 5-year-old allowed to watch rated R movies?
Yeah, really? No.
Well, I talked
5.
about that a little bit last night when I talked about age appropriate discipline and
Right.
certain things and when do you change. And you guys kind of gave us some comments
Yeah.
on that. As far as the movies, I mean, age appropriate. Think about the PG. They have rated G and PG, and then it was PG 13.
NC-17.
Do you
R.
guys go by that when it comes to your child and going to a movie? It says
Yes.
PG 13, but listen, 13 is it's some risky stuff
Right.
on the
Yeah.
screen.
When my kids were under the age, all we went and saw were cartoons.
Mhm.
Now, when they got older, you know, even the Spider-Mans and the
I'm
other
telling
movies,
you,
you know,
you
they
can
get a little
avoid
racist.
certain things.
Yes.
The foul language or nudity. I mean, certain things just pop up.
Right.
for
And
some reason,
nowadays, you know, a
just
kid doesn't
on
even,
TV.
they don't even have to watch a movie because if they want to
Right.
see something R-rated, they can pull up YouTube. They can
Right.
search for anything. So it's a little bit
and are you
different.
monitoring what your child is watching on that
Absolutely.
phone or on that tablet? No, you just giving it to them and shut them up.
Yep.
Man, I was just getting ready to say
And there's
that. You
so
know
much-
how many different apps and when you allow a kid to get Netflix on their phone,
Yeah.
what you're allowing them to do?
Right,
You
Right,
just open the
absolutely.
world. Yeah,
Absolutely.
the
Another
Pandora's box.
factor of unfit parenting, they said child abuse, which
Which we kind of talked about a
Yeah,
little bit,
which is
child
common.
abuse. But you know, this domestic violence, this one, now for sure, I just want to say the parents that fight and argue in front of the children, that has to stop. You cannot allow your kids to grow up in an atmosphere where they're hearing you constantly fighting
Right.
each other,
right.
Right.
yelling and screaming and throwing things.
Right.
Right.
And in that domestic violence, I say, men, if you are beating the woman in your life and you
Mhm.
have a male child, you're teaching that male child that that's how he deal with things and
Absolutely.
with women. And women, if you're raising a female child and you're sitting there allowing it to happen, and I know the things of how many times it takes you to leave and all of that, but you're conditioning that child to expect that.
Right.
Yes.
But not just with the physical abuse. And so, you know, I just want to make sure we understand
Yeah.
that words hurt.
Words hurt.
And
Yes.
if that child hear you tearing that father up and
Or that
calling
mom-
him
yeah.
different names and vice versa, That is just, that's
Right,
terrible.
right.
That, and you cause anxiety and stress on that child. And even hearing you say that about another sibling,
Right.
you know, about their sibling.
That's
is just-
crazy.
And then here's the other one. Parents that talk about their children to other people, and they talk so down and so negative, and then the kids end up finding out.
Right.
Now
Or they're standing there and
Especially
they're
now.
Tell me about
With
that.
social media, you know, there's things I run across that it's so hard to be quiet about, you know, like embarrassing situations for your child or milestones that should be absolutely private, but the parent
Mhm.
wants the attention. So they're going to
That's
blow up something that has
right.
happened,
Yes.
you know, that your child entrusted you with. That
Right.
happens all the time
Wow.
Yeah.
because the parents crave that kind of attention.
How about a parent? Oh, you know, little so and so just lost it in the bed last night and peed all over the place.
Right,
and I
right.
had to clean
Seriously.
this and
Yeah.
clean that. And I mean, why are
why?
you telling this at work?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
and so respect again, honor that child. So we got to know what the children want.
You got one more?
Do we know what they want? We have some more comments,
the last
guys. Did we get them? Substance abuse. There's a different way you have to discipline a child. What about the children now that's on drugs?
Right.
They are, I mean, there's a lot of them.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
And that's a whole nother part of parenting.
That-
you know, you have to talk to your kids about pills. You have to talk to your kids about just so many
Everything
things. There's so
now.
much to cover.
Yeah. I mean, even sex.
Yeah, everything.
You know, I mean, let's be real.
You put that down on the like it was on the bottom of the list.
Oh
and
man,
it-
no.
and
man.
even
And even, I mean,
Hey, it's
it's
something to
not a
talk about.
comfortable subject, but you have to. It was a commercial a couple of years ago, and it's talked about if you don't teach your children about sex, I will. But it was a
know.
number
I
of
remember that.
people
a
that was in it.
prostitute.
So you have to be careful. So I think it should come from you before they learn it in the street.
And the phone,
That's
you know,
right.
the sex, telling, you know, don't send pictures. There's so many things that parents have to cover.
Yeah.
And have you seen some of the stuff posted on Facebook when you talk about sexting and nude pictures and different things like that? I know
Yeah.
Laura had a comment. Is it back or is that one gone? Okay, we have some more comments, guys.
So Adam says the best advice my dad gave me when I became a father was, if you say it, you better do it. That goes for good or bad. If it's a punishment promise, if they misbehave again, or a reward you pay that you have for an achievement. Susan says, always praise them. Cassidy, let them be involved in everything they want, from sports to Girl Boy Scouts to academic teams to clubs. And Nikki says, spend as much time with your children as possible because they grow up so fast and they're little.
Mind
Yes.
heaven.
Yes. And you know what? I think this is worth saying. We don't have any kids leaving comments or anything, so let me be the voice of the children. What do kids want? Show me, love me, discipline me, save me, talk with me, talk to me, hear me,
Hear me.
see me, feel me, accept me,
Yes. I think
Feed
those
me. spiritually and physically, trust me and encourage me.
I think and the see me and the hear me are the most important because I think we overlook our children not only physically
Yes.
but you know it just in the listening. So the hear me, yeah. So
And if they're talking to you, do you really like engage them and
Yes.
talk back to them about that thing?
right.
There are
right.
so many small things as a parent that we overlook. I mean, there are so many times over the years that I've been so busy doing something and, you know, Macy would come up and, Mom, can you play with me? And, not right now. After she went to her room, I would think about it for a hard 30 seconds, put down what I was doing because I felt
Yes.
so terrible because
Yes.
Right.
and we deal with that as parents
Mhm.
because we're busy, but you sometimes have to stop and think,
Yes.
this moment's going to go away.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
absolutely the truth.
Yes.
But, you
We
know-
have a video too before we
Okay.
go. And I think they're going to let us know when we're ready for that. Is it ready? Okay, here's a video. Watch with us. It's coming. Yes.
Have you ever, in your experience, seen a young adult, child, whatever we want to call Rachel, show such gross disrespect for a parent? The words that were used in a voicemail to her mother? Maybe you have.
It's not
I
right.
don't see it in my house.
I'm not, exactly, you don't see it in your house. However, we also have the certification from the teacher, from Ms. Smith, where the mother is calling the daughter the same kind of name. So I would go, that's the parents that set that precedent. They're the ones who raised this child. This is the language that they're using in their household. This is what they are doing to their child.
A lot of parents don't want to own up to it, but a lot of things that the child is doing or the child is saying, they got it from where?
They got it from home. They got it from their parents.
Yeah, she said it right when she said the parents set the precedent. I mean, that we set the foundation.
We do.
Period.
Yeah. And to give insight on that video, I believe that young lady was suing her parents for financial means that she wanted them to support them. She wanted to move out of their house, but she wanted them to still support them. And the parents was like, no, we've done our job raising them.
Yes.
And she was using language. She called a text and cussed her mother out, and they were using that against her.
Yes.
And the lawyer was like, where did she learn this? Who talks
How
like
did she
this?
end up here?
Right. and that's what the lawyer was saying. So yes, we got to be mindful. Our children are more apt to learn from what we do or say.
Yes.
Because they follow us, they mimic us. If you, and I'm not saying every child, but if you as a smoker are smoking in your house and you tell your child not to smoke, but you smoke every day, a good percentage of those children are gonna smoke. Same with drinking or whatever you do. So you gotta lead by example. If you don't want your kid to turn out that way, don't put that vision in front of them.
I agree with that. Wow. And then, last night when I mentioned about religion and we're getting ready to wrap things up, I was reading something and it says that the children leave their faith or God between the ages of 18 and 25. So, when I was talking about at what point do you stop telling them to get up and let's get to church? So in me finding that out, I'm thinking, wow, you really have to remind them all the way through.
Right.
Even 25 years old. Hey, maybe invite them to go to church with you.
Right.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's I think a different way you say it. Instead of forcing them, then you invite them.
Right.
Why
You
don't
make them
come
want
and
to come because, when you said 18 to 25?
Yes.
So that's, 18 is the age
Of
we all
adult.
remember. I'm going to make my own decisions.
That's
I'm going
it.
to do what I want to do.
And that's
So,
what I got from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. So we had so many nice comments. We want to thank everybody that left comments. We didn't have any callers, so we got to do better, guys.
Yes,
Next time
call
we
us
would
up.
love to have some callers on Thursday nights. Don't forget to click like and share. And we have
Yes.
Clarence going to leave us with something.
And as we leave, we were talking about parenting. Truth is, there is no set rule book or recipe for parenting. But I want to say this. A sign of great parenting is not the child's behavior, but truly the greatest sign of good parenting is the parent's behavior. And that's what I'm saying. How you present yourself to your child as a role model, as a person of respect, character, and all of that. Your child will adapt to that. So you have to watch yourself, knowing yourself. That will be the best way for you to be the best parent that you can be.
That's right. And remember, there are core values of life, morals. So you need to be the role model for your child.
Yes.
Parents,
Amen.
you got work to do.
We are
This is Neutral Voices. And we will see you next time. We'll actually be here tomorrow night for our Friday.
Friday,
favorite
game
day.
night. Yes.
So come hang out with us.
Yes. Watch us be silly.
Yes. Take care.
When I say 7, y'all say days. Hunting for the cheese like a mouse in a maze. Been down all my life, mama thought it was a phase. Same OG, guess I'm stuck in my ways. Last night I had a